There's a lot of news out there. So much of it, and my monologue tonight will talk about how so many of our problems stem from mass immigration.
Ooh,
And
I know what's that
I,
going to
I,
be
ju-
about. I saw this picture of the protest in Ottawa, pro-Palestine protest. I wonder if that's what he's going to talk about.
I don't think it's deniable. I think that's sort of uh, obvious to say in 2025, especially after Trudeau and now Mark Carney have just removed the governor in any way. You know what a governor is? So, like anything that throttles things. I used to drive a Hummer H3, if you can believe it, which was sort of a single guy's SUV. And it had a governor that kicked in at 155 kilometers an hour. So if you took that Hummer up to 155, the engine would just turn off. And then when you went back down, it would turn back on again. And I think that saved my life because that thing is not meant to go faster than 155. And
I bet, yeah.
I think any governor, any limit, any restriction, any limitation on Canadian immigration has been removed. They're just trying to get as many.
I mean, to be fair, there was a limitation, right? I think it was 400,000 immigrants a year, which is ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, I'm an immigrant myself. I don't have anything against immigration, as long as you're able to support the immigrants. And what I mean by support is you need to have enough housing so the normal citizens, Canadian citizens, or even Canadian residents, right, don't suffer because of that. So you need to have affordable housing for everyone, not just for immigrants, let's say, but for Canadians first. And you need to have enough jobs as well. So once you take care of your own, so let's say if we take it, number one priority for Canadian government should be Canadians. Number two, Canadian residents. Let's say permanent residents, right? Number three, temporary residents. Here we go. Once you take care of the first two categories, since they already pay taxes and everything, right? Then you can decide to bring more temporary residents, more immigrants. But if you don't take care of these two categories first, what are we doing about it? And that's what happened, right? You didn't have housing for 400,000 immigrants a year, so the housing crisis happened. Housing price went sky high. Now not even Canadians are able to afford the houses. Young families not able to afford the houses. Job market suffering. Why? Well, let's be honest. Uh, it's the there's not enough jobs. And if you're able to undermine the prices or salaries for immigrants, I'm going to say it. I worked at Amazon when I moved to Canada. I mean, I worked at Amazon during COVID, right? But again, not many people want to work in a warehouse, especially for that salary. I mean, the salary was good, to be honest. It was better than like Shoppers or something like that. But yeah, like you're able to give out less salaries because immigrants from different countries, for them it's going to be a lot of money. And if we look at the immigration nowadays, most of these immigrants are actually sending money to their home countries because the salary over here, even the smaller one, is a lot over there. So it's ridiculous. It doesn't even stay in Canada, that money, which is yeah, liberals just screwed everything.
People in as possible from the most outlandish and ill-fitting sources possible. I think the mask has come off. They have a minority government, Mark Carney. They know one thing: if you replace the voters, you'll get what happened the other day in New York City, where Zoran Mamdani, who
Ooh.
only became a citizen 8 years ago, hates America, says so, hates white people, hates capitalism, hates police. He says so. These are not insults by
Yeah.
me. This is me reporting. Um, how on earth could he do that? Well,
He's
because
socialist,
people
borderline
who
communist.
are foreign born
Ridiculous.
make up 36% of New York. Can you call up that Wikipedia page? Remember the one we used in yesterday's show that showed the percentage of foreign born people by city? Can you find that again? So I say again, Zoran Mamdani, who is like AOC, but he's
Oh,
more Islamic and smarter and more charismatic and more communist than her.
here we go. Yeah.
He beat Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, for the Democratic primary to run for the mayor of New York City. And winning the Democratic primary is tantamount to winning the election. Anyways, I want to show you this chart. Now, this is from Wikipedia, which I normally do not credit, but
One more thing, I don't know if he's going to mention it, but one of his things he wants to do is prevent ICE from arresting illegal immigrants, which is ridiculous. You're obstructing justice in the U.S. How can you even be elected in Democratic primaries? Like, how is he even allowed to run? How did they elect him? It's literally against the law what he's planning to do. Obstruction to justice. What are we talking about?
these are all footnoted. So I just mentioned to you that the number of foreign-born people in New York was 36%. Well, look at these cities.
Brampton, yeah.
Brampton, Ontario, 59% foreign-born.
Look at the Brampton, how it changed in the last 20 years, how the crime rate went up. Look at the car insurance because of all of the car accidents. And I mean, it doesn't really have to do anything about it. But look, Canada is there. It's crazy. Crazy. Mississauga, Brampton, Toronto, Surrey. All of these four towns or cities, are in Ontario. And that's why Liberals won, right? That's why they're allowing 400,000 immigrants a year, even though they don't have a way to take care of them. But that's why they allow them to come in. So they vote for them. It's so bad.
Number 2 is Miami. Mississauga,
my bad.
57%. Toronto, 52%. Surrey, 51%. Vancouver, 49%. Montreal, 41%. I don't know if you can scroll down a bit, but Calgary and Edmonton are on that list too.
Oh, really?
Like there's New York,
Jeez.
and then Calgary and Edmonton at 35%. Calgary and Edmonton are as foreign-born as New York City. Would you have thunk it? But that
No, I would not think that. But to be honest, Calgary and Edmonton, Alberta, I think they're doing better job than Ontario. Or maybe it's not as much. I mean, if you look at Mississauga and Calgary, it's very similar. But anyway, I think they're doing better job with I don't want to say pushing these immigrants, but the immigrants in Calgary are doing better job with assimilating to the Alberta culture, to the Canadian culture. And even if you look at the elections, it was mostly blue. It was like 98%, 95% blue. So again, I lived in Ontario, I do live in Alberta, and I think Alberta is doing much better job. I think the issue with immigration is not as bad as in Ontario. It's getting worse, don't get me wrong. But I feel like immigrants in Alberta are better with assimilating to the Canadian values, to the Canadian culture, to the Alberta culture. I think it's much more closer to US, and that's one of the things I admire about US. They have a lot of immigration as well, right? However, somehow they manage to do it the way that, yes, you can enter our country, you can be citizen, you can be resident, whatever, but you're going to follow our culture, our laws, our values. And that's how it's supposed to be. No one's telling you to forget your own culture, right? But hey, you're living in the US, so you're going to follow our laws. You can have your own culture on your area section with your friends, whatever. No one cares. But don't push it onto our country. And that's how it's supposed to be. And Canada did exactly opposite, or at least that's how it feels to me. You are trying to adjust to your immigrants. Instead of protecting your culture, your values, And that's wrong. That's like, if you think about it, immigrants come to Canada for what Canada is, what Canada represents, how it is. Like, they're escaping their countries because it's not as good as in Canada. But what you're doing is you're just adjusting to the immigrants. Like, you're slowly turning into the country where they ran from. And that's not why they immigrated to Canada. It's ridiculous. I don't know how liberals allow this to happen.
As part of a deliberate strategy that the United Nations called replacement migration. Can you call up the actual replacement migration doc? Go to, just type in replacement. Yeah, that's it right there. You got it right there. That was fast.
Here we go.
Do you have access to the document itself? Because I want to show the second page of it.
So what,
Can you
you're
find
replacing the voters?
There it is. You can see this is published by the Population Division, Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations. Replacement migration. Is it a solution to declining and aging populations? Well, I tell you one thing, it's a solution to the Democrats' declining voter base.
Here we go, yeah.
Yeah, let me read a little bit. The Population Division of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations Secretariat is responsible for providing the international community with up-to-date and scientifically objective information on population and development. In particular, the Population Division is concerned with the following substantive areas: patterns of mortality, fertility, and international and internal migration, including levels and trends. Scroll down a bit more. The work is published in a variety of formats. Yeah, keep going. Contents. Let's just look at the table of contents. The issues, literature review, methodology, country results. So they're looking at different countries. Okay, I won't go into it, but this is a serious paper by the UN, and it's called replacement migration.
That's ridiculous, especially if they're trying to solve aging and fertility. Look, just make the country better again. Make it how it was 10, 20 years ago. Support young families. Make living affordable, housing affordable. Like right now, not even groceries are affordable for some people. And I'm talking middle class people. I can't even imagine anyone else, right? So how are you going to support fertility? Well, easy. Make it affordable for people to have kids. It's ridiculous. You don't need to replace them. And again, there's nothing wrong about immigration, but you need to have resources for immigration. You can't let immigrants take the resources of citizens or residents. Like, no, you need to take care of the people who voted for you. Once you take care of them, bring as many immigrants as you can afford, because you're doing disservice not only to your voters, you're doing disservice to the immigrants as well. They come here for a better life. Well, guess what? They're not able to afford a house because liberals fucked up.
Replacement migration.
But this is ridiculous.
You are being replaced.
Yeah.
That's not a conspiracy theory by the right. That is what's happening. That is the name of the policy. That is the name of the study by the United Nations.
So bad, man.
And there's a reinforcing, you could call it a vicious cycle. And, you know, we've been going to Ireland a lot. Do you have Lincoln's video from Ireland, his latest one? Really tight edit. I think it was only like 4 minutes long. Really great video. Do you have that one? From Ireland, not Northern Ireland. You know, I've been going over to Ireland a bit, but like I say, I was on the cruise last week. So my colleague Lincoln and Efron went to Dublin again, huge rally. And Ireland is a population of about 5 million people. So it's pretty small. It's smaller than the Greater Toronto area. And they brought in 1 million migrants, and they're bringing in so many every year. And what do you think that does to housing in Ireland? It is
Well, my question is, what do you think it does for extremism? And I'm not talking extremism from the side of immigrants. But if your country goes downhill because of immigration, what do you think is going to happen? We see that in Germany. They're literally electing someone who's right now considered extreme right party, close to Nazis. And that's what's going to happen if you don't control this, if you don't take care of your own citizens first, of the people who voted for you, of the people you're responsible for. It's going to go this way. Like, you're going to have extremists there who are going to be against immigration. It's not going to be nice. And you see it around the world. Like now, Denmark full on forbid or ban wearing burqas on the street, which I'm not going to really react to that, but can you imagine this happening 10 years ago? It would be considered extremism. And what do you think it's going to happen with that? It's going to spike the hate. And for me, this one is kind of on the edge, because if you think about it from the religion purpose, it's not good. But the culture purpose, that's kind of different story. I'm not going to say if I agree with it or no, but it's a good example of what's going to keep happening more and more if you don't control the immigration. And again, I don't think immigration is bad as long as you're able to afford it.
It's more expensive to live in Ireland than to live in New York City.
It's ridiculous.
And there's a level of irony there, is that migrants get their housing paid for free by the government, citizens don't. So Irish citizens, born and raised, 100 generations in Ireland,
that's what I'm talking about,
are outbidding, they're trying to compete with foreign migrants, and their tax dollars are buying the housing for these migrants. So their own money is paying to house other people while they themselves can't get housing. And every other issue too, including out of control crime, especially crimes against women, because many of these men come from societies where an uncovered woman is a rape target.
Yeah, definitely different culture. I remember I lived in the Middle East. If the woman gets raped there, they're going to investigate her as well, not as a victim, but as maybe she was asking for that. And that's the difference in culture that I was talking about. If you invite someone into your country, you have to make it clear that they're supposed to follow your values, your culture, and most importantly, your laws. And that's what I feel like Canada and Liberals failed to do.
So anyway, I want to show you a huge Irish protest. I mean, have you ever heard of a protest against immigration? A peaceful mass march? I don't know of any other than in Ireland. Now, there may be some things going on in parts of Europe that I don't follow closely.
Yeah.
But
yeah, okay, so he doesn't show it. But yeah, Poland, Czech Republic, like peaceful protests against immigration, for sure. Like you don't really see anyone throwing the bricks. Everyone has a permit. They don't burn the cars. It's not the U.S. style peaceful protest. Like Asmund Gold said it, brick of peace. Really. Anyway, I definitely agree with it. Like, again, immigration is good as long as it's controlled, as long as it does not disadvantage the people born in the country or people who already immigrated to country and pay taxes, right? And one thing I'm kind of curious about, I was thinking about it for a few days now, because I heard a lot of people using word immigrant, while I think they actually speak about refugee. Because immigrant, legal immigrant with all the paperwork, you're working, you're paying taxes and everything. I'm an immigrant in Canada and I don't get anything for free. So I think they're actually talking about the refugees, because don't tell me that if I immigrate to Ireland right now, have all the paperwork I need, they're gonna pay me for housing. I don't even need to work. That to me sounds like some refugee program or some asylum or something like that. So I feel like that's again one thing that we need to make clear, because if you're talking about immigrants, it might inspire hate towards all the immigrants, even though, like I said, I don't get $1 from Canada. I'm paying almost 50% taxes like everyone here, right? So yeah, that's a good video. Otherwise, like Rebel News, I always like to watch their stuff because it's spot on, and it's talking about the issues the way that I agree with. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's usually pretty blunt, and sometimes some people would consider it tinfoil hat, but again, I think they have facts and proof for all of their claims. So yeah, if you didn't follow them yet, hit the subscribe, like it. If you like my commentary, hit the subscribe, like my channel. I would appreciate it.